Good here.
Good morning. I'd like to call the Destin Fire Control District special meeting to order of the Board of Fire Commissioners. We're at 848 Airport Road here in Destin. Today is March 3rd, 2021, and the time is 9 a.m. This meeting is open to the public. So at this time, I'd like to open the floor for any public comments. Seeing none, the floor is closed to public comments. We're here today to discuss and take any and all actions related to construction and remodeling of the new fire station over on Calhoun Avenue. I just want to say, I think everything's going good. I think we've had some great discussions and moving the ball down the court. What we had for the chief last week, if my memory serves me straight, was to get a quote from Rogue Industries and the information that Mr. Buckingham requested, and then get 3 drawings, layout, and the design of the property, and then some lift info for the boat lift. Is that correct? Is that correct?
That's pretty close, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I might go a little bit more than that today, but that's okay. That's good.
So I'll just turn it over to you and just let you take the floor.
Yes, sir. I've got had a conversation with Rogue. They're going to working up a price quote on a 20 by 40 building, and they're going to make sure that. I had some discussions with one of the 2 gentlemen that were here, David. He asked some questions that he's not, when I said 20, he wanted to make sure that they can make it fit where we want to make it fit for a temporary, over there, it would be a temporary structure to be able to be relocated to the main station for more of a permanent structure to put our TRT trailer in. So the purchase would be initially to put the apparatus in out by the cottage, and then once the construction is done and we have somewhere to house the apparatus at the new property, then we would relocate that over here, or we would disassemble it until we have the project in the back completed where we could install it. But that would be a dual purpose purchase if we were to purchase the road structure or the sprung structure that Road would be able to have installed for us. So they are working on that. I haven't got the answer just yet. I anticipate for sure having it before our next meeting on Tuesday night for our commission meeting. I anticipate I'll have that answer. But just for the board to know, they are working on it. I think that I do not believe that their quote is going to come back less than $10,000. So our limit is $10,000 before we have to send out for a bid. So I think either way, we're going to have to send out for a bid. So we'll begin to work on multiple bids here very shortly. And a couple we'll be talking about that we're going to go ahead and start working on. So that way, when we're down there by July 1st or on July 1st, we're going to schedule these things to start happening on that date for us. Everything can't be in place yet, but at least they can start on July 1st. So we'll begin working on an RFP for this one, and that'll be one of the RFPs that we'll have floating around while we're working on what we're going to do for the actual bay itself. So if that's all right, with that said, then you have before you a price quote. The first page are from Bree's Boat Lift. This is the first page you've seen at the last meeting, which gave us an approximately $18,000 install. One thing I would point out on that is that they do have a 7% tax that would come off. So it would be $800 less, approximately $800 less than what they're quoting there. Second page is the quote for the electrical to be able to run the electrical out. So they gave us roughly a $1,500 quote. So together, we'd be looking at a little bit over $20,000 for Breeze to install a new boat lift at the new property. So because of its price and it being over $10,000, this is the other one that we will be working on to get an RFP and get it out so the board can make a decision and go ahead and have it scheduled to start on July 1st. So our goal will be to have all of it done a decision made and scheduled to be there on July 1st. And we feel we can make that happen. But the boat lift is approximately 20, and we'll go out for an RFP on it, and we'll start the whole process for us to be able to make a decision. Then the other, after the last meeting, provided with direction to come up with some drawings of a couple of concepts. Yes, sir, go right ahead.
May I make a question on the boat lift before we get off of that subject? Since we're gonna send this out, and our thought was, or we've discussed in the past, of possibly when it's time to upgrade or bring someone else into the dockage on to possibly build it out of concrete. So, concrete docks, concrete pilings, because we're not buying this, gonna sell it and flip it in 10, 15, 20 years. It's gonna be something that's gonna be long-term forever. And I guess what I'm asking is, if we're going out for bid, we're gonna get a couple other bids. I wouldn't mind getting a substitute on the pilings to bid them in the pilings in concrete. Okay,
Current-
concrete pilings,
The
right?
current ones?
Right.
Why,
So when
why,
they-
why concrete?
They never go nowhere, they're here for life.
I called Gorman Marine, and they said that concrete is a lot more expensive,
Well, that's correct.
and this is a substation, so I don't want to, wood pilings are last 20, 30 years.
That's not true.
No.
That's not true.
Mine only
Yeah,
lasts about
they
8.
don't. You have a worm issue out there, Bob, and they don't last. The treatment in the pilings today is not like the old treatment. Years ago, they'd last 50 years, they'd last 30 years with no problem. But the treatment to make them in today, because of the environmental issues, they don't last. And my concern is if we're gonna be here, forever, and we're gonna be here forever, you and I will probably be gone, we're just still gonna be out there. If they put concrete in, Bob, look at the concrete bridges, they're 50-year bridges, they last forever because the concrete goes nowhere. Yes, it's more expensive up front, but we never have to worry about it again ever. So, two things I'd like to check on, Chief, is number one, let's just get a quote on it, see what a substitute price on 4 pilings would cost in concrete. Number two,
Well, okay, so the pilings that you're talking about are the pilings for?
The boat lift.
Okay,
yeah, right now he's showing it 8-inch pilings, or
Okay.
four 8-inch pilings. I'd like to see a substitute on concrete. Yes, I know it's gonna be quite a bit more, but I'd like to see that. And I'd also like to see if we stick with wood to make sure they give us a price on wrapping them. So if they wrap them, at least we can get a little bit more life out of them.
Or I can add to what like I did,
And do
snap around the bottoms and they put concrete up so high above the water line.
Which is a nice feature too. Rick,
So-
if you don't mind giving the chief that contact.
Yeah, I'll
That
get
would be
that
a good idea.
contact.
Well, you guys know a lot about the boats, I know nothing about the dock
Yeah.
and stuff, but the guy, when I was talking to this gentleman, he was the owner of this Gorman Marine, he said that the concrete pilings are more for floating docks. Is that true? I don't know. I have no idea. That's what he's telling me.
Right.
Maybe he's just trying to sell me wood. I don't over concrete. I don't know.
The reason he's doing that, Bob, is because he doesn't put concrete in. If you go to Trip Tolbert's property, for example, right around the corner of Joe's Bayou, Trip spent the money and put all concrete pilings. He put everything in concrete, and he'll never touch it again.
I do the yard next, I do the yard next month. I'll go look at it.
Yeah.
But
It's,
I know, I didn't know. He always said it was a lot more money, and I know we're pretty limited on how much money we have left. If we're going to spend 1.25, so I'd like to see the bid.
That's what I'm just asking
A bid for
for. That's
both.
all I'm asking, just to
A
see
bid
the
for
option.
both.
well,
All
Okay,
three, pilings, concrete, and then piling with the snap concrete around.
Perfect.
And what he mentioned about the hole, it's hard on the holes of the boat, which I don't know what he meant by that.
That doesn't affect anything. That's got to do with the boat driver.
Yeah. See, I had no knowledge of this, so I'm asking questions. I have no idea.
It's just, to me, I agree, concrete is far better way to go than a regular treated piling, but, just looking at the numbers,
Yeah.
we can always change it out later,
Right.
but I'd prefer looking at a quote for a concrete piling also.
so would y'all like, instead of writing it into the RFP, you want us to go ahead and get a couple of estimates on what it would cost, so that way you'll have a pretty good idea of the
Yeah.
cost. Then you can direct us which one you kind of prefer for us to go with.
Exactly.
So then when we write the RFP, it's specific for either it is concrete, or it is gonna be snap, or it's gonna be standard pilings.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
what pilings?
And I'll use an example, and you come look at mine, but the good one is East Pass Marina next to the boathouse, the old East Pass Marina. Those are in concrete. They've been there since I was a kid. So,
Yeah,
and they're still there, and they're still using them, so
again, I have no knowledge.
if we can't afford to get them,
Definitely a plus to have concrete.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
that's fine. I had no idea. When he was selling his pitch, I didn't know what his pitch was, and I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna ask this question. You guys know about it. I don't know about
yeah,
this.
and that's good, I'm glad you brought it up, but I'm just saying, if we're looking at cost and we can't afford at the time, the thing, the next best is, I think.
The next best is a snap.
Also, we need to figure in a security camera there because with it being out on open water like that.
Yeah.
I feel more comfortable having some kind of security camera installed on the dock.
Me too.
While we're doing the dock, question for you guys, while we're doing the dock, how about getting a bid to make it wider, because it's like 200 feet out there.
We're not doing the dock right yet. We're just talking about the
But
folk.
I know, but maybe while we're doing that, maybe just redo the whole dock also while we're doing it, if we have enough money. That's what comes down to money.
Right.
1.25 building the station, everything else it's gonna be tight.
I think that's on his list, isn't it, Keith?
And widen it,
I think that's on your list about checking into, we discussed that last time, to get past the seagrass. If we could get out
well,
another
farther.
50, 75 feet, which is doable, DEP would love it. We've already had this discussion with the engineer because the last thing DEP wants you to do, or the feds, they don't want you on that seagrass. So for us to go out past the seagrass, number one, if you look at the aerial view, you can tell that now it's deeper water just past the seagrass. Yeah, most definitely, I would highly recommend widen it a little bit.
That's something about widening it, yeah.
Right.
I like to see us invest in getting like a gator, so our guys can go
Bingo.
from there and drive out. It's 200 foot, by the time they run out there, they're gonna be exhausted, especially carrying your equipment. We need them to have a 6-passenger and be able to get out there and get it quicker for quick response time.
I'll support that.
So maybe get a quote for a widening it, the whole dock too.
Okay, so because, all right, we went from what I thought we were going, which was, I'm trying to keep up.
Yeah,
I know, I know.
I'm just throwing stuff out
So,
there.
no, it's fine. We went here and then
Let's
we went
finish
here.
this first, and then we'll go to that. Let's finish the boat lift first, right?
Okay,
So
I
you
just
know where
want
to go.
clarification before I do, just to make sure. So you were talking about widening the current, dock.
Right.
Build a whole new
The
one.
whole
He's
way.
talking about building a whole new one.
Yeah, a whole new one. Or widen it if we just add another island down it.
You
And put
you
new
can't
toppings on it.
you can't do that if you're gonna go out. You might as well just,
Let me
Change
just,
the line, both sides.
let me interject real quick.
let's finish this.
Yeah, let's do this because we're talking in the future of widening the dock, doing that.
Extending it and widening it, it's two different
Two
things.
different things.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're talking about extending, that's one thing, but if we're
Right.
talking about redoing the whole dock, that's a whole nother issue that we were talking about if we were getting the county involved and the state and this,
But if we're going for permits, we might as well go out and do the whole thing all at once.
Well, Bob, just so
different
you know,
stages.
Do we have
Just so
to
you know.
permit to widen?
just so you know,
Yeah.
the boat lift is not gonna affect the current dock at all. It's gonna be set off to the side of the dock.
Mhm.
So we still have our 2 slips.
Right.
It's just gonna be set off the side. The only thing we're trying to do right now, correct me if I'm wrong, is to provide a place to put our boat there,
Immediately.
July 1st.
July
Okay.
1st.
So once we get the boat there, then after we got through this, just to make it quick and brief, I was gonna recommend the chief to get with Dombrowski, Mike Dombrowski, he's a local marine engineer right here in town, and go ahead and get that ball rolling on that,
Okay.
on what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Kind of just get that ball rolling and bring that back to us later,
What's the
but
process? How long does it take to get the permitting?
it could take 6, 8 months to get processed,
Always, no matter what.
no matter what you do nowadays.
So what, so can we get, let me ask you this question.
Agencies don't do what we're
Because I
doing.
don't know the answer to this. Can we do the process of getting permitting for both and not doing one of them right away if we don't have the money? Or how long does those permits last?
Boat lift's gonna be a boat lift will probably be, if I had to guess, 60 days to get the boat lift. That's pretty simple. It's gonna go in front of the city real quick. The dock is gonna take a while. So being that I asked a question about the concrete pilings, I did that for one reason. I don't get all into it because we got more to do. Let's finish this and then I'll explain to you what.
That's fine, yeah.
Let's do that. All right, so your direction on that is, the pilings, the three type
Yes,
pilings.
because, yeah, absolutely, because we're gonna be putting in, the board's got as compared to, and based upon our last meeting and last discussion, was, and I didn't get a quote on moving, because based upon the general conversation, I felt like overall, feeling from the board was that we were gonna leave the current lift where it's at, and we were going in the direction of putting a new lift in.
Correct.
So I didn't get a quote from Breeze or anyone else to say, hey, what would the quote be to move our current lift over to here? So I didn't do that.
We don't want.
So,
But I wouldn't, I
We're leaving
wouldn't.
it.
but I thought that was the general feel of the board, wasn't a vote, but I got the general consensus. Now, so where I'm going to go now is to find out what, to that, because we got one now, because he's gonna have to put poles in, and what he's quoting is put just standard wood pilings in. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get 2 more estimates on one with the snap rings, and then the other one with concrete, and then bring it to the board, so the board can then make a decision which direction you wanna go. And then I can put out the RFP for the lift.
Right.
So that's where we're at. We've got the electrical now. Here's,
They do that separate, don't they, Mike? Correct me if I'm wrong, Collins will be somebody else.
They-
but it'll be through Breeze.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
This
it'll
is
be
some-
contracted through
It is
Breeze.
his subcontractor.
Right.
And his electrician is his subcontractor, which
Yeah.
is what we want. We'd
Mhm.
rather him take care of all of it.
No, I agree with that.
Right.
So with that said, all right, so I'm gonna go back to Breeze and I'm gonna get him to give me 2 more estimates, one for the snap, one for concrete. Here's something else to think about. Whether we want to do this now, or actually we could, if additional lifts, because right now what I'm looking at is being able to go functional, operational for us and us only. Right now, I'm looking, just kind of like, we're kind of looking at stations. I'm looking for a bay, I can put a truck in.
Right.
I want to be able to go operational. So, for us to go operational, we're gonna have a lift, put the boat on, and then we're gonna have a floating lift for 2 jet skis, potentially 3, or maybe 4 jet skis down there. So we might have to have 2 floating docks. That's what I'm looking to do, is put floating docks down. We are looking to do is to put floating docks there for our jet skis.
I agree.
So I'll back up the electrical. They gave us a quote, now that's for 1 lift, and that's for us to go operational. If at some point, it were to be expanded, would y'all believe that electrical would have to be increased in size? Wire or whatever, so that therefore it can carry more current, to be able to operate more lifts? I mean, I don't know about
They
this
will
kind of
use the
stuff, that's why I'm
conduit.
asking the question.
Yeah, they don't use the conduit. They'll just pull the wire out, the number 8,
And
and,
slide
or
back
number
in.
10 and put a number 8 in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that,
I would say we go ahead and wire it for more than 1 lift.
Yeah.
I mean, why-
While we're here.
I mean, the cost of going from, 8 to 10.
Do it all at
to
once.
8.
Labor costs would be a lot cheaper to do it all in time.
I have one question for the board.
Go ahead.
Are we seriously thinking about redoing this dock in the very soon future?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Okay, if we are, then I wouldn't spend the money on it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Because you're gonna take all of it's gonna have to come off, put the new dock in. We're gonna have to take everything, put it up on land, and then put it back out once the dock is built. And I don't care. Look, I'll support either way you guys wanna go with this. But if we're looking at, which I would prefer to see us rebuild the whole dock in the very soon future and bring in another agency, I would say let's just use what we have, because you're gonna use floating docks for the jet skis. They need no power.
And I got you. I'm giving the department that stuff.
thank you.
You see?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll support it if you guys wanna go more power, but I'm just afraid we're gonna take it out before we use it, because we're going out.
Yeah.
We're gonna push, I'm gonna get with the chief guys, just so you all know, and kind of help him with the direction of getting to the right people to tell us what it's gonna take, get out there, get us a quick quote, and he's gonna bring it back to you guys.
Right.
Because I think you guys wanna make that decision just as fast as anybody does, including the guys, because when the guys drop the boat, they're in shallow water.
Mhm.
If we get out just a little bit farther, when they drop the boat, they're in full blast. They're,
How about us getting a quote now to see what's gonna cost us to do a whole dock right now, to see what it's gonna cost, get an estimate for that.
I'll be more than happy to help the
Get
chief.
that,
Yes.
this way, we
And
get
we don't
an
have-
idea what it's gonna cost
Talk
us,
about it.
and maybe do it right away. But my next question is, since we wanna be ready July 1st, and we can't take possession to July 1st, is, Mike Schultz gonna allow us to go in there and work on that while he still owns possession of that property?
No, because he might have a wedding the last day.
Yeah.
So, But if we get this ball rolling, then I believe July
July
first,
should be put set.
weather pending, they'll get these posts in the ground immediately, get our road up there. Immediately.
Well, I also, considering, and Neil Ponder, who's the county commissioner, lives next door to me, down the street from me, and approaching him and the sheriff about, you know, is this something y'all want to be interested in? Because this could help offset some of the cost if they.
We've already had that conversation and they are definitely involved, interested, very, very interested.
Mhm.
And some language has been said in front of them about, would you guys be willing to provide a new dockage, and their heads were definitely bobbling.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so they're
There's
on board.
opportunity there.
Yeah.
to-
Oh, I'm not saying we fit the bills all the time. If
But
there's gonna be code
just
use,
get the
could
head
be
bottom,
co-op.
let's get some activity going there with the sheriff's department. Because I see a lot of potential with them and the
I do too.
AWC, because there is no dockage close to Destin for either one of them.
So question for this board, and then we'll move on. I'll get with the chief if this board wants, and we'll go ahead and have a local, marine contractor, an engineer, not a contractor, an engineer, design something or give us a rough, what it would take to get out there. Bring us something back and say, this is what it's gonna take to get you guys out there. Then we decide if we want to pay him to go ahead and get it designed. Once he gets it designed and it's something like this, then we'll leave it to Tommy and say, Tommy, go talk to Mel. This is what it's gonna take to do it. Do they wanna be involved in it?
Why don't we do this, Mike? Why don't we go ahead and bring them to the table,
Bring who to the table?
whoever we want to be housed there,
Right.
and go ahead and have a discussion with them, because they may have different needs than what we're thinking.
Question
And,
for
and,
you.
and then we can go ahead and have them share in that cost and co-op this.
So that's what I'm looking for.
Because I don't wanna go full speed and get drawings done and design, go get permits, and they come back and say, hey, we need a bigger spot, or we need to be on this side, just whatever their needs are.
Right.
So let's go ahead and
But
get
keep
them at
in
the
mind,
table.
whether they do it or not, keep in mind, Rick, whether they can come in or not, we're still gonna end up building something out there anyway, because we want our guys to be able to respond faster. We wanna get out of that seagrass.
I clearly understand
Right.
that, but if we're talking about other agencies coming in, I think we just need to have them at the table.
No, I have a problem with that. No, I don't even like the idea of anybody else sharing our property down there, because we have a hard time with parking as it is now, because we're very limited in parking. You're bringing the other agencies in, they're gonna bring in 2, 3, 4 more cars. We're not gonna have the room for the other agencies to come in there. We gotta think about that too.
Well, that's what we need to
We
discuss.
have, but so
But I
let's
don't wanna
just,
put the cart in front of the horse, building a dog.
can I make a suggestion, Rick?
We're gonna bring them.
Let's bypass any other agencies right now. Let's forget about it. We still know that that's what we want to do in the soon future. We still know that we want to get our dock past the seagrass and get in deeper water. Battalion Chief Taylor, he's made it real clear. He's been out there. We get out just a little bit farther, we're in deep enough water, they drop the boat and they're gone. Okay, they're gone. So we know we want to do it. It doesn't cost us anything to get the chief to go get this information for us. And if they want to make, before we built it, if they wanted to make it instead of 12 foot, they want a 14-foot slip, oh, well, be it, make a couple changes. I'm just trying to get us on the right track of what it's going to take and a time frame to make it happen. And a ballpark, what it's going to cost us. That's all I'm trying to do. Because I know in the future, we want to do this very soon.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
You know, I don't know if y'all been out there on that dock, but there is some pilings out there that they're fine to walk on and do what we're going to do today, but they're not going to be
Trying to drive a gator on it might not be strong enough.
absolutely no way.
It's not wide enough.
It's not,
Well,
it's not a
just the weight,
commercial
I'm
dog.
just saying the
That's
pilings
why-
themselves,
That's my
Or
big
one.
concern. I want a white.
It's not a commercial dog.
gator out there.
and there weren't. So once, if you will know, once the worms start, we got an issue. So why don't we just finish this? And I'll get with him and get him some stuff to bring back to you.
So when you
guys.
say finish this, we're gonna go out for RFP for the dock.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
For the lift.
No, the lift
From
and the
the-
bottom
yeah,
right now, and the electrical.
And electrical, yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
Okay.
So Rick, you finished telling what you were telling. You want concrete and you want to wrap.
Yeah, he's got the three.
Uh,
Poles, wrap, concrete.
What do you want to do with the power? Keep it simple or go ahead and?
We're gonna keep it simple.
Okay.
Just do what we need right now.
We've got the basic estimate to be able to go in with just the plain poles, electrical, and then I'm going to get the other estimates for changing out the actual lift poles.
Perfect.
So I'll have that, brought that back. I see that, I see what we're talking about right here, that part as the minimum that we need to do in order to be able to operate. Because we need to have the boat there, we gotta have a lift, so we're talking about the minimum. The other stuff, I'll go get some estimates on, bring it back to the board so you have an idea of generalized costs. Because somebody's gonna give you a ballpark, they're not gonna give you specifics on being able to extend the dock plus engineering and, give me my full cost on one of these, so the board knows what we're approaching cost-wise.
Before I start.
And then, we can have general conversations with the sheriff's office and some others, commissioners and things like that. But I think the board needs to know those general costs estimated, because right now, we're going to, our folks, as was mentioned, are going to exit what's going to be the fire station where they're sleeping. And it's probably, I don't know, what, 75 feet probably from the building to the dock, and the dock's 170 feet long. So you're talking about over 200 feet that, trust me, being down there together, we're reducing our response time significantly. However, you're still, as soon as they come out of that station, that's a haul to go 240 feet to get to the boat, then to go on the call. So we're gonna get the minimum, but I'd like to see, even if we don't extend the dock, widen what we have, so that we could put them in a gator, so they can put their gear there instead of carrying their gear down in the boat. They can put it in the back of that gator and then get there quicker. I think that's cutting timing off, that's a good thing. So I think at some point, but what I'm looking at right now is get a lift in, they'll have to hoof what they gotta hoof.
Mhm.
We're gonna go to work. So the way I kind of see it is we're going to work. We're putting in an operation, we're gonna make this happen. We'll have some other considerations as far as additional monies to be able to expand, because we know that we are in general limited by a certain amount of money we want to spend. We haven't made decisions yet on what we want to do with the other stuff yet. So what we're talking about here, I want to be able to, so the board knows what the minimum costs are to be able to get it up and operating when you make the other decisions on the buildings and things like that. So.
Well, I want to move forward with it now. I still want to get the price.
Yep.
For a widened dock all the way down. So this way,
I agree.
if we have the money, I want to go ahead and get it done.
Right.
And I want to go ahead and get the permitting starting for that too also, if we can.
I agree.
Because that's why we can move, because we get it done.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the idea of like a gator, what he was talking about, because it's gonna be a point where there's gonna be somebody coming and there's gonna have to be an ambulance come. to
Right.
pick somebody up,
Right.
and to be able to transport that person
Yeah.
from the dock to the
Good point.
to the ambulance is in, you're gonna have to widen the dock to be able to get a
And turn
gurney
around.
down through there and whatever,
Right.
So there's a lot of potential there that we can figure out, but it definitely is gonna take a while.
So we got to invest in one of them gators, like on the football field, where
Right.
an injured player, they
Yeah.
cart them
No,
off.
well, why don't we do this, guys?
Yes.
Why don't we do this for the record? Because this is gonna get brought up one day. We made it real clear when we were at the park next door, because they told us we couldn't do that. And we said, no, we were not gonna bring bodies up here, we're gonna take them to the Coast Guard station. But on record today, since we own our property,
Yeah.
we can bring them up and we will bring them up.
Exactly.
Well,
We didn't do it next door.
Right,
and-
exactly.
and we don't want somebody, we don't want the haters on me to come up and
Well,
say,
we-
"You
It
guys
doesn't
weren't
matter
gonna
what
do
the
it before."
haters say, we're doing it for the general public safety,
Right.
okay? Bottom line. So
well,
they can't argue with that.
Right.
I kind of look at it like, we're not gonna put stop signs out there. You cannot bring somebody who's injured to the station. They're going to do it regardless.
We're gonna do what we need to do.
Right.
There's gonna be people that get injured, that don't even have, I mean, they'll come on their own boat up there and go, oh, I fell and broke my leg,
Right.
Yeah.
You've gotta be able to.
And we're gonna welcome, we're here for you. I get it. I just want it for the record.
Yes,
We own this property this time, so they can't tell us what we can't do.
I agree.
Okay, I concur.
All
All
right,
right, so you got your guidance on the
I
the
think
lift. All right, let's move that off the plate right now.
all right, then
Any other discussion on that one? All right,
the other, we were, asked to bring some conceptual, drawings of the ideas that were brought up at the last meeting, for potential, base. And you'll have before you three, actually, there's 4 drawings there, but 3 concepts. The first one, should be the angle base. Am I right? Is that the first page
Yes,
that you're
sir.
seeing? Okay, so this is the concept we got with, Jenkins Engineering, and Scott and talk to him about the angle, being able to build a station on an angle. Can you draw it? And so he did. So that's what we see now, is the angle station. It's a 20 by 60 structure. Each bay is 20 by 60, so it's kind of matching up with a 40 by 60. And then the next drawing is one that's perpendicular or parallel with the property lines for the length of the property. It's a 2-bay, which, just like on the other one, it's a 2-bay. This one is a squared up, rectangular, 40 by 60 structure. Both drawings allow for drive-through bays. And then the third,
Can I stop you?
I'm sorry,
Can I
yes,
stop
sir, I
you?
was just going to run through them all.
Before you said 2 bays, but I only see 1 bay going through.
Well, it's actually 2, but I guess what I was trying to relay is that where on the first drawing, we had 2 20 by 60 structures. This is the same concept of 20 by 60, just side by side, which makes it 40 by 60.
Right, and I'm looking at the second one.
I'll call things bays right now, which might not be a bay, meaning that we're going to build it as a 2-bay structure, but one of the bays will be where we do all of our decon, store bunker gear, have a shower for our folks, a clean room for them, so it'll be designed like it's got 2 bays, but really it's only 1 bay, and the other bay will be built out inside. Everybody follow what I'm trying to say? So we would just build out the inside of it so that we have water and power, so that we can provide for the laundry facilities, for the bunker gear.
So on the second
Okay,
design.
come on.
Second,
Yes, sir.
Second design, there was only one room for one vehicle then.
That's correct. That's correct.
One vehicle.
And surely on the first drawing, only one of those would really be
It'd be the
a
same
bay.
thing, right?
So, and then the other one would be the clean laundering, storage for our bunker gear and all the other stuff.
Okay.
Very similar concept, just one's on an angle, staggered, the other one's side by side.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you for asking. And then the third concept, and I say that, the next two pages are the same thing, meaning that, Scott drew the initial one and he kind of left out the additional parking.
Right.
This was, we gave him this idea that if the bay house for some reason is taken out during a storm and we need to expand upon the current station and add additional footage at ground level to it, draw that in. So what he did is took the same 60 by 40 building, added what, as far as we could go, and still have the drive around on the side, or drive by on the side, driveway on the side. So that's an additional 25 feet by the same length, 60. So again, additional 5 foot, where a bay we're typically saying a bay would be 20 feet. In this case, we're saying we'll get 25. So the third drawing is really more of the concept of what it would be if the bay house were taken out. If the bay house taken out, we clear the property, we make it the parking, and then we add on to the current bays.
Yeah, number 3, just basically take it out and put number 4 in place, right? That would be our
That's correct.
option.
That's correct. It'd be like, yes, if number 2, that's exactly right. Takes out the bay house, you end up with number 4, would be just the concept. So those are 3 concepts. Want you to be able to see them, and that way you can, that visual is going to assist and maybe provide an additional direction going forward with, if you want any additional information on any one of the particular concepts, or not, or make a decision on which one you want to do now, or have additional conversations. But this was what was asked, is to provide some conceptual drawings in a site plan so that the board could see what those things would look like. One thing that I would say, Commissioner Buckingham and I did discuss the size of the base. Our truck is the actual apparatus that engine 9 and engine 10, identical twins, they're roughly 32 feet long, okay? And I say roughly, I could be off 4 or 5 inches, but it's roughly 32 feet long. So if you look at a minimum bay, minimum would probably be 50, you could maybe get away with 40, but you're only talking about 4 foot on each side to walk around that truck on front and back. Could be done, be tight. 50 would be better, and in the event, if we could do 60, I prefer 60, because the more space I have, the better. My only concern is then when we talk about a bay being 80 feet, it's great to have more space, but as long as we understand that we still need to keep that bay open as a drive-through. And so if we're storing apparatus, it no longer becomes a drive-through. If everybody understands what I'm saying, is that if we got an 80-foot bay that you can store 2 trucks in, or put 2 trucks in, the primary truck, response trucks in the front, when it comes back from that call, it's gonna have to back in, it won't be a drive-through anymore. And because that other truck won't be.
I don't see a storm any
So I
trucks.
think this board directed the chief last meeting to go bring back either a 40 by 40 or 40 by 50. Well, after the chief and I did some measuring, we really didn't bring back the 40 by 40 or the 40 by 50. We really brought a 40 by 60 because that's really what we need.
Question, Mike.
Yes, sir.
40 by 60, which I like the idea of 40 by 60 also. Why I figured 40 by 60 at $300 a square foot. Is that approximately about right, or three? So let's go $320 a square foot.
Yeah, there you go.
325 is gonna cost us $780,000.
Right.
You're talking another $100,000 for renovations, you said.
Give or take,
That's
on the high side.
That's $880. We gotta add a sprinkler system, that's $20,000. Generator, I talked to Ronco, high bid, high quote, he said it will be under that, he says, but $70,000 for 2 generators.
Right.
So, but he said
Right,
that.
I get it, I
He
get it.
said that, so I'm going high, so we're
Right,
gonna
right,
be,
right,
I
right.
don't wanna be short.
No, I get it, I get
So
it.
now we're talking, way up with a boat lift, our $23,000, equipment for the truck, we're talking, we got $1 million. We still got $250,000 to play with, either adding the dock onto it and stuff, so
Which I like.
even at $325 a square foot for a 40 by 60, we can afford it, I think.
I think we can do, I need 1 second, the engineer needs me, I'll be right back, okay? Matt was waving at me.
Personally, I'm,
Sorry about that.
the angle, I'm not for that. I don't think that's, if you look, we're not taking advantage of the whole piece of property, okay? And,
You don't like the angle because it's not, you said you don't like the angle?
well, I mean, you look at the green space that it offers, that shows, there's only one road in, one road out. I like the other one where we've actually got 2 roads in, 2 roads out, so.
I think, that's the question I gotta ask Chief. Chief, on the third diagram, you guys look at the third one,
Yes, sir.
there's only 5 parking spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parking spots. Is
No,
that
some
coming
in the
up?
front too.
That's counting the front, there's none in the back.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
No,
10,
no,
11.
no, on the third page.
That is.
No,
Oh,
third
that's
page.
4th page, I'm sorry.
Third page. That's where the future living quarters,
3, 4, 5, 6.
it's only 6 parking spots, that's all there is. I don't think there's enough if we have the future living space here. My question is, do we wanna live on the ground floor within a flood zone? And my big contention is, I didn't like the Bay House because I think it's in the flood zone. I think to me, people have told me it's flooded before. Do I have personal knowledge? No, I do not. But I was told it's been 3 feet of water in that building. Mike tells me this never happened. So I'm just saying, we're in a flood zone. Do we really want to be on the ground floor in a flood zone area? My conception is to be on the 2nd floor on top of our existing building. Does that make sense?
That could easily be done.
Right.
If you built that building out of block.
Right, exactly.
They built it, just have a concrete roof where you could add on to it.
That's what I'm talking about. We got
So
to
that's
design
a
it.
potential, but it still boils down to the
Hey, you want to do this?
second,
Second conceptual drawing? Yes, sir.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, where it's parallel with the property line?
I'm good with the second one.
I like 1 and 2. I like 1. I like the angle concept. I also like number 2 also. But I'm just one vote. And, I like the idea. I like 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I don't like the idea of living on the.
The only reason why-
Well, that's, we could, I just think approving number 2 would be the way to start, and then we can go from there. But,
Well, the only reason why, I like the angle parking is you can add, kind of like I drew here, but we're really not there for growth. We're really there as a substation.
Well, it's getting the
So-
full potential of the property.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I'm looking at.
yeah, and I agree with you. And,
The access to the property, because if for somewhere in the future, we do have FWC and the sheriff's department
Mhm.
involved with us, then that gives access there where somebody's not having to wait for somebody else to come through so they can go.
yeah, and I was leaning to the angle when we first started talking, but then I've changed my thought process. Because I,
Like you
let
were
me
here.
finish, let me finish.
I'm sorry.
And I like, basically, we gotta keep going back to when we originally started. It's a substation.
Right.
We don't have a lot of money to do what we wanna do. Let's get back to the basics. And, I like the 20 by 80 like we really originally talked about, but hey, that's more money. I mean, that's 700 as it is 20 by 40 by 60. So, and we can add on, like you said, in the future. So I'm like, let's keep the money low.
Mhm.
I like the 20 by 40, the 60 by 40 building. And I think what it's gonna do for us, the immediate future, that's what we need to do.
And just for you to ease your guys and to make you all feel better, we've discussed this multiple times on, let's just use number 2, for example. Keep in mind, we shortened the building 20 feet. It was laid out 80.
Yeah.
And we had the ability, if we lost the Bay House, if we lost it in a disaster, and we were gonna move to number 3, okay? Please keep in mind that number 3 could also be lengthened back, okay, for either more, other,
Entities.
sheriff's department, blah, 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 what am I trying to say?
Agencies,
Agencies, thank you, chief. Or we need more storage, we got plenty of room to add on to if we need it in the future. So I like the idea of living within our means.
Mike, you were here when I was making a comment. I didn't like 3 because I didn't like the idea of us living on the first floor in the flood zone area.
Right.
Because I don't like the Bay House in the first place.
Well, it would have to
Us
be,
staying there.
it would have to be at a 10, at an elevation 10 in order to be done, and that's doable.
Yeah.
And then again, Bob, keep in mind that, if this board will allow it, I would like to build whatever we do build with a concrete roof on top of it for the purposes of adding on to it going up if we ever need
That's
it.
my next question to you, Mike.
Yes.
I like 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I don't like the idea of them. So for me, I'm just ignoring those 2. So I'm down to 1 and 2, and I like the idea of building on the second floor. So no, is it feasible on the diagonal, can we build a second floor on top of that?
On which one?
That'd be,
On 1 and 2,
Yes, but it's gonna be more expensive.
on 1.
Yes. Anytime you build square, it's cheaper to build square than it is you got more footings, you got more walls, you got more roof, you got everything you add to it, it's more. So yes, to answer your question, both of them can be added to.
So I'm kind of leaning towards them. I like the idea of 1, I like the diagonal, but I'm leaning to the future. I like the idea of us going up there. I don't think that 70-year-old building's gonna be there forever, so we know it's gonna be gone.
Right.
And that's why, I don't like putting good money at the bad. That's why $100,000 renovation kind of hurts me into the Bay House. I just like to put $100,000 towards a new building now on the second floor. But, I would be leaning more than towards 2 then, the second design, than towards.
How about you, Tom?
I'm definitely too. I'm not.
I'll make a motion, go to number 2 and let's move forward.
I'm not all for 1 at all, because I don't like the concept of it or the practicality of it. It's not there to me.
I'm ready to move forward, so I made a motion.
I'll say.
40 by 60?
What was it?
Now,
Chief, you're happy with that, right? Chief? Thank you.
do we have room in, so you're saying that on the, go to page 2 then, everybody. On the page 2, there's no bay up front there where we can put an ambulance in there if we get an ambulance service? So I'm hoping to get an
Yeah,
ambulance
you
within
mean,
next
you mean
year.
the 2 doors up front? Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a bay there for them to use.
It doesn't show that.
Show them, chief, in the front of this building, this is number 2, guys,
It's 2
okay?
bays,
These are 2 bays.
operational bays.
Yeah, there are 2 bays that operate. Our engine's gonna be in this bay on the right at any given time, correct, chief?
that's correct.
Okay, so this bay over here, you got 60 feet. You don't need but 25, 30 feet for an ambulance. So it's gonna have a roll-up door. So in the future, if we get one, the chief could put one right there and we can use the back half of that bay for what he needs.
Is that gonna be enough room for all his sort of stuff? That's my question.
Yeah, with the ability though, please keep in mind, if we get that, that's what I was just explaining to the board, that we can add back here on the back of this concrete block building.
No, we can't, we gotta drive around.
No, because you're not gonna make that particular bay will not be a drive-through anymore, just the one on the right will.
Chief, the way, if the way he's designed it, is there
Yeah.
gonna be enough room or no?
Or you can build onto the front of it.
Right.
Can I-
Right, which would probably be what we ended up doing, because the initial, I know that, again, this is conceptual, so we're kind of locating it generally on the property, it's not the exact location. Based upon guidance of the board, we're gonna get the exact location and layout.
Right.
So, but understand when this, in my humble opinion and direction of the engineer, when we go to build it on the property, I want the building to be as close as possible to the current Fay house, but while allowing us to make the turn with our apparatus. Because that's less travel distance to get from their sleeping quarters to where the truck is gonna be stored for a response. So if we push it out 20 feet, that's 20 more feet, they've got to go to get to the building to get on the truck to go on call. If I can push it back and get it to shorten that distance as much as possible, still have the drive-through capability. So where I would say we would do, if we had to extend onto anything, you extend on the front, going toward the road, on the left side, as you look at this diagram, on the left side. If for some reason the bay wasn't deep enough for an ambulance or whatever other piece, just extend on that left side. You can do both of them. As
You can.
Commissioner Buckingham said, it's cheaper sometimes to build it square than it is to do, so we decided that we can lengthen both bays with the understanding that the right bay is just gonna be for the apparatus. So even though there might be more space in the front or back of it, whatever, it's gonna be just for the apparatus. The left one's gonna be for whatever purpose might come up in the future.
So my question again to you is, Chief, the way Mike has it set up right there, 30 feet for a second bay, the 30 feet, is that gonna be enough for decon, is it gonna be enough for washer and dryer? Or is it gonna be enough for-
I haven't sketched it out yet. I would generally say yes, but I hadn't sketched out, because you're gonna have to sketch out where you're gonna store the bunker gear, where the dirty room's gonna be, where the shower's gonna be, where the clean room's gonna be.
So I'm saying, before we agree to this, I wanna make sure we have enough room with 30 feet. I don't
Okay.
think there's enough room.
Remember you and I measured, we came up with that number?
Okay,
Remember when we walked into the laundry room and where the room where they have all their, fire suits, they're in the red cages? Remember when we went in there and measured all
right,
that?
that's right.
And we
that's
came
right.
up with a number
Yep.
of, if we had that much space, we could make it all work. Be nice to have more, but if we had that much space, we could make it work. Remember?
Before I vote on it, I wanna see it. I
So-
wanna see the schematic.
Right, so here's
I
where
wanna
I'm
see it
going.
sketched out.
Right, so here's what I'm going with, Bob. Let's just say this is the engine, we know that, right? This is where the engine's gonna be. If in the future we get an ambulance, he goes here. If we design this building in a way to put all the utilities on this back corner wall right here, the water, the sewer, everything in the back, don't put it up front, put it back in the back.
That's right.
So then we're gonna have a doorway right here. We're gonna have a 3.0 service doorway. They have to have that to get in because there's a roll-up door right here. They're not gonna run into the building.
Exactly, that was my next question.
Right, so if we put a 3.0 door right here, okay, then this is concrete block building, and we put all the utilities back here, and she said, man, I really need another, man, I could use another 500 square foot, no big deal. Remember, guys, we laid this out originally, the 80 feet was back. We took 20 feet off of it, right? So we just add more room here, and he builds more decon room or whatever he needs in this whole area. I mean, it's huge. It's a lot bigger than you think it is. So to answer your question, originally, we stated this is a substation, blah, 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 blah. We needed him, the chief and I, when we measured it, we said this would work. Well, you got it. You got it right here. You got 20 by 30. You got it. It's just where you place your utilities for growth in the future if you need it. You damn sure don't want to put it here and then have to cut the concrete and bust it all up to come back farther. You don't want to do that.
What I don't see on this sketch, on number 2, is I don't see an overhead for a walkway for our guys at nighttime if it's pouring rain. I wanna see a covered.
Oh, no, we know that. We just got to come up with a concept of what we're doing.
But I wanna,
On the foundation.
I wanna see that too, though, because I wanna add it to cost of what it's gonna cost us for this building.
Okay, now, here's something we didn't think about. Please keep in mind that that walkway is gonna be way up there in there,
Yeah, at least 12 feet probably.
way up in there.
Yeah.
So by us doing something that tall, and there's
Right.
wind-driven rain,
Right.
we just wasted a bunch of money. Or are we gonna have to build it,
Wider.
20 foot wide to protect the guys walking in the middle. Just keep, that's in the future. But is it doable? Yes.
It's not the future, it's now.
Well, no, what I'm saying though, that's in the future of, we're gonna put that in the plan if we design, we gotta get to figure out what footprint. we're
But
gonna go
footprint, we gotta go
Gotta
first.
go to footprint first, and I agree with you. I'm supporting you, Bob. I'm not,
Okay.
I'm just putting in your mind that when it's that tall and wind-driven rain, it's gonna have to be wide to protect them, correct,
Oh, yeah.
chief?
Yes.
I
There you
don't, I don't see it here, so I wanna make sure we include that.
We will do
That's all I'm
that.
saying. Now, before I go on that, I want Keith to come back with a schematic and show me he has enough room for his decon and all the other stuff he has to have in it. I want to see a schematic before I go on it.
Okay, well, just keep in mind that we, time and time,
We
and I get it.
waited 3 years like we're waiting on.
I get it, but chief, do you remember measuring the room?
Yeah, I remember standing back there and pulling the tape.
Was that enough?
Yeah, yep.
Well, how much is that in 10 more feet or 20 more feet? If we
On
go ahead and
building?
do it now.
Not that much.
Well, why don't we just go ahead and do it now then?
I don't have a problem with that. Guys, I don't have a problem with the 40x80 that we designed originally. This board wanted to shrink it. Me, I was very happy with what we had, and the chief was happy, but
Just
Well, we're just trying to
We
cram.
can always add on.
It's,
Well, what I'm saying is if we're trying
I
to,
want to stay within our budget.
Bingo, me too.
Work
Yeah.
right
yeah,
now.
because a 40 by 60 is at $325 square foot again, is $780,000.
I want to stay within our budget, guys. I want to stay within our means, and we, like the chief said, we went out here and we measured, and, he said, God, Mike, 40 by 40, we can run the truck in there, but there's no room for guys to walk. So we pulled the tape measure a little bit more, and, 50 is even close. So I said, chief, let's, I'm with you, let's go for 60. I think we need the 60. To me, in my mind, when we were talking about 60, he's liking the idea of the truck and the guys around the truck itself. His concern is when those guys park that truck, they got enough room to get around it, and I
yeah,
support him
service
on
it,
that.
and whatever they gotta
But
do.
when he was talking about, man, 60 would be nice, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, well, we got the ambulance here and we got plenty of room for the decon room.
So I don't think there's enough room for everything right there. I don't think there's enough. But, so chief,
I can
when
switch it up.
you do your design, if you feel that you need 60 by 70, you come back with 60 by 70, we'll figure your cost out. And if we can afford it, we'll do it. If you can do it 40 by 60, we'll do it. But do not cut yourself short on what the guys need. Make sure they have what they need and safely, have all the safety features that they need. Otherwise, we're not doing the right thing for the guys.
Buddy, trust me, that's not even the thought in the back of my mind, so I hope you're not thinking that that's where we're going with this. We
No,
are. thinking that.
we're
That's what we're
we're
doing.
shrinking, so I want to make sure we have it.
Bob, it's a
That's all I'm
substation.
asking. Right, but we still have to have a substation that works functional.
Gotcha,
And if it's not functional,
I'm okay with it.
we're wasting our money.
totally fine with it.
If the board's okay, I thought we were at a motion and a second, and we're in general discussion now.
Right.
So,
Who seconded it, by the way?
Tom,
Okay. I thought it was-
So, if, I believe the motion is a 40 by 60.
Correct.
So if the board would like, based upon Commissioner Wagner's concerns, if the board would have the approval for a 40 by 60 with the leeway after drawing up the conceptual layout for space, and in the event that 10 more feet's needed, that I'd have the ability to expand that with this approval, then we can start moving forward. I feel confident like Commissioner Buckingham,
I do too.
but I haven't sketched it. So until I sketch something out and see it with my eyes,
And I want to see it too.
I mean, I can see that he and I looked at, measured, and did this, and I go, yeah, okay, I need to be able to draw it so that I can see it myself, to make sure, but the board would give me that ability, that flexibility, approve 40 by 60 with the ability to add 10 feet on it if need be when I go to draw this, or you wait till next Tuesday, and then I'll have drawn it by next Tuesday, you can make a call on it then.
I'm gonna make my original motion and stick with where we're at, to go with the 40 by 60. And if the chief come back next week and says, man, I don't have enough room, then we reconsider. But currently, I wanna move forward because time is against us.
And I don't have a problem with that because right now,
Right.
that other part that we're talking about, is not
Bingo.
right now.
Bingo.
It could be,
Bingo.
it could be a while. It's short term. It's probably gonna be at least a year. So I don't see that to be a problem, because in the event, let's say, when I sketch it out and go, man, I need 10 more feet, I'm gonna take that 10 from the front. And
I agree.
then if we go to bring in, let's say, an ambulance, add 10 to the front of that building and put your ambulance in. You know what I'm saying, later in that day.
Well, just a sidebar for a second. Would you know what their requirements would be for decontamination or anything? Do they have the same requirements?
Who?
If we brought an ambulance in?
You know, I've been in their place 100
Yeah,
times
sure.
and I've never
The
seen
same
it.
thing?
Yeah, they would fall within, whether it's our folks or their folks, if they're gonna work in our facility, they'll fall under our guidance.
Okay.
Our guidance even on, let's say, some mass decon, or, let's say it's an ambulance crew comes back, and they're gonna decon on scene. They're gonna decon on scene. So if they've got the gross decontaminate, we're gonna wet them down, we're gonna decon them on scene. When they get back, they're going immediately into the showers, take a shower, change into a clean set of uniforms. So it's gonna be very similar to what we're doing. And it doesn't change whether it's their heart monitor or it's our heart monitor. Whether it's their gurney or it was our gurney, it's not gonna matter, you're still gonna clean it, and they're gonna have space to clean it, so,
I just want to make sure.
yeah.
If they need extra room because of what their requirements are.
It'd be able to
we'll have to
function
look at
inside
that
the
if that's
space we
our
have.
ultimate goal.
Well, please keep in mind, when we originally discussed this, and I think it was Jack that brought it up. He looked at the chief and said, what do you really need? And I think you said 40 by 40.
Mhm.
You know, we could live in a 40 by 40.
That's correct.
So that's where we left it. So I came with the chief and we measured, we spent some time out here. We measured a lot. And that's when the chief said, man, it'd really be nice to go 40 by 50. And in my mind, like I said, in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, you know, I want to make sure the guys get around the truck, chief gets what he needs. But in my mind, I'm thinking, man, it sure be nice, Mike. You already figured this out, there's a place for this. And keep in mind, this is 30 by 20, which is almost the 60 by 20 that we needed just for this area. I mean, I knew we had enough for that. So then, in my mind, I didn't say nothing to him. In my mind, I said, come on, let's go measure. What do you think you need in here? So we looked at this and so guys, we came back with 50% more than what you guys asked us to do.
And Mike, I'm not disagreeing that might work, but until I see it on paper that it will work, I can't vote for it. And especially when you tell me time's essential. When I go to a car dealership and the guy tells me, you gotta sign right now, I get apprehension now, we have to do it right now.
No, I get
We've been
that.
waiting 3 years now, Mike. We've
I
been
get
waiting
that.
3 years, so another 7 days, we're only in beginning of March.
Right.
We can't even take possession until July 1st.
Right.
So time is not the essential right now. We can wait till next
Okay,
week.
just
That's all I'm
to
asking.
refresh your memory.
He modified his motion
Right,
to cover what you're asking for.
but please keep in
That's
mind.
all I'm saying. I just want to vote next
But
week.
please keep in mind, Bob, next door was a 40 by 60 at the park. It was the same footprint of what we're proposing today, and we put everything in there.
I thought the park was.
It's all in there.
I thought it got too small for what we needed. I thought it wasn't what we needed to work functional.
But
I thought we were cutting back, but we cut back for the.
But we knew that that's all we had, and we knew it was a substation. We knew that this is what we're gonna get for the rest of our
Well,
life,
this is our
and we were
property.
happy with it. So-
No, we weren't happy. We were settling, and now we got our property. We can build what we need, but we can afford it. And that's why I'm asking for one more week, and if.
Okay, well, I made a motion, I want to move forward, but it's totally up to y'all. You know, this is exactly the
I'll
footprint
second it.
that was next door.
Okay, we got a motion and a second.
What's the motion?
To move forward with a 40 by 60. And if the chief comes back later and says he needs to do something different, then bring it back to the board.
So it's to move forward with
Yes,
40 by
yeah.
60.
With modification.
Right. Just figure it out.
And you approve of the modification.
All right, got a motion and a second on the table. So, take a vote. All in favor? Anybody? No?
No.
All right, we got a 3-1. All right, moving forward with the
So I'm going,
40 by 60.
40 by 60. I'll, as Commissioner Wagner asked, I'll go ahead and sketch it out, make sure that it'll fit. And if for some reason it doesn't, I'll notify all of you before next Tuesday. Okay, I'll.
And for the record,
Make you aware.
page number 2.
Number two.
I don't see the rush is because he's not gonna be able to do nothing until next week anyway, so I don't understand the rush.
Well, also, Chief, if you don't mind, for next week, would you please also, ask the engineer to get the drawing of what Commissioner Wagner wants for the walkover, please?
Oh, for the walkways, yeah.
Thank
Please
you.
have that for us.
I appreciate that.
And just, Catherine, I labeled these for the record on this. Okay,
So he's approving a 40 by 60 based on, the diagram in the number two diagram, which is the, running parallel to the property lines, toward the road.
Correct.
And so how you would like for me to proceed in writing an RFP for design build, so that way we can get, quotes in, and you can make a decision on moving forward on building that building.
Correct.
now do we have to do specifics like doors? Do we have to do specifics
Yes.
on anything
Yeah.
else?
Well,
So may I make a recommendation?
yes, sir.
Since we have a guy that's already started the footprint, why don't we give the direction to the chief to find out if he's gonna be over that limit? If he feels he's not gonna be over that limit, then we can stick where we're at. We don't have to put it out for RFP, correct? Or do we still have to? I don't know. I'm asking you, if we're under a certain amount, we're under 10,000, let's, for example, can we pick and choose a
You talking
local
about the
guy?
drawing?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, for the design of the building. If we're under 10,000, if that's the number,
That's the number.
and we pick a local business, can we move forward, or do we still have to put it up for RFP?
Not just under 10 grand?
I'm sorry.
Not just under 10 grand.
Well, so why don't we,
I'd like to stay with the guy that's been doing all this work.
me
for us.
too, he has been doing us, but if he can do it for the under hour, then we don't have to send it
It
out.
cost
Yeah.
10 grand for the initial drawing was 10 grand. This is more complex, so it's gonna cost more than 10 grand.
Well, I can't answer that. I'm just saying, give him direction to ask the guy, you know?
Yeah.
Just to, you know, if it is, then we stick where we're at. If it's not, then we give the direction to the
It
chief.
may
to
be
go out for
less since
RFP.
he's already done a lot of the work. So,
Right. So I don't have a
No.
problem with it going out for RFP if it's over the limit.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. We have to go by the law.
So Chief, do we then need to start discussing like doorways, all that kind of stuff?
That's something that they would do.
They will do that.
We don't need,
That's not
we're
what we
not
do.
contractors, we're not
But
developers.
design build, they build the whole thing anyway.
Right.
And they come back to us, we have to approve it, that's all.
He knows what wind load we have to have. So he'll say, here's 3 different styles, here's 3 different colors, and these meet the wind loads. What do you want? That's what he's gonna say.
So we're separating it out from the design build. We're picking an engineer to design, and then once he's got the plans drawn, so that I understand the process, then we're going to RFP out the building of that design.
I want the design build, I want the contractor to do the whole thing, I don't want,
And me too.
yeah.
But keep in mind, this is really, it's not a living quarters. This is a concrete garage. It's a concrete block garage. We're gonna ask for it to be painted. We're gonna ask for roll-up doors, that meet the wind loads. We're gonna ask for, entry doors, 3.0 doors that meet code. We're gonna ask for enough electrical to run it, what he needs. Chief knows what electrical he needs, for his exhaust blowers and his lights and his washers and dryers and what, he knows the basic stuff. It's a garage.
So
It's not
we're
a-
just, because I'm trying to get my head around, are we just saying, okay, you're just building the shell and then we go out and get the interior done too?
Well, there's very little interior to be done, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, I know, but you're talking about it.
Yeah, when you-
Doors,
if-
it's-
If this board walks out into that garage right now, if they walk out to that garage and they're gonna look at what's there and they're gonna go, wow, right? We did it the other day, go, man, there's really nothing in here. It's just how's the trucks?
So when the engineer goes out and designs it, he's gonna have the building cost too, so it's gonna be the whole thing, the whole package at one spot. So the designer is gonna, they actually should go out for bid, design build, and the contractor bids, he gets his engineer and all that stuff. And so it's gonna be like $1 million, so it's gonna have to go out for bid. It's not gonna be, it's one-stop shop, design build.
Right.
So he goes out and bids, so it's gotta go out for RFP. It has to go out, it can't be.
Right, and I'm not disagreeing with you guys.
Yeah.
I just made a comment to ask the chief if he feels it will be underneath this number, for him to do that. If it's not, then yes, we have to put it up for RFP. That was all I asked, to just give the chief the ability to ask this gentleman, can he do it for that price? And if he can, well then, we stick with the local guys who've already been working on it since day one. Here's my only problem, Bob. we got this guy that's been working with us, and we still, correct me if I'm wrong, have not received a bill from him. And he has done every bit of that in Calhoun Park. He still hasn't billed us. He's that busy.
Is this the guy that we paid $10,000 to?
No.
No,
That was Clary.
That's Clary?
Yeah.
That's right.
So what I'm trying to say is this guy hasn't, and he hasn't billed us for anything he's done yet, including next door. So I hate just to say, well, thank you for your time, we're gonna send it out. At least give him the ability to ask. If he says, no, I can't do it, well, then we put it on for RFP. I just want on the record that we're not trying to screw the guy. We're gonna give him the
I think he could do
opportunity.
some conceptual stuff.
Thank
So
you.
I think he could do finish, because this is very fundamental. I mean,
Yeah.
this is, not that he didn't do any work on it, I'm just saying, there's not a lot of,
Right,
engineering to be done with the drawing that he did here.
yeah, just a little
If, I think we could get him to do some, initial conceptual drawings that we could then present as part of the RFP.
caveat.
This is what we want built,
Okay,
and then
all right.
that
Elevation's not
design
supposed to
build,
look.
then that
I
builder
got you.
comes in and goes,
I got it.
You follow me?
okay, we're gonna design,
Thank you.
he's gonna do the whole honing of the design and present us with, what the outside's gonna look like, and, all the plants and everything else will come with the design build for that contractor. But I think initially, what I'm getting is the board, we'd like to utilize Scott to come up with the initial conceptual engineering
God.
drawings.
That's
So that way we
right.
can,
I
that way
thought,
we can hand that to
Right.
people that come in and say, I want to bid on your RFP. What is it that you're talking about? And we go, this is.
see, I thought he was, we're going to RFP, we're already doing it. I got you.
No,
Yeah, because,
Thank you.
because a set of
Thank you.
plans like that, it's probably gonna be around 50 to 60.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, that's what I
Well,
was thinking.
there's no matter what we do, if we just said, Scott, thank you for your time, give us an invoice, and we hire Chief Sasser to design it, he's an engineer, he's still gotta go back, because he's an architect. He's still gotta go back and hire somebody like this guy to do the civil work.
Right.
So this guy can do all the civil work now.
I'm good. Yeah, I got it now.
Right.
Thank you for explaining that. I was lost, man.
Yeah, he's gonna do some preliminary work for us to be able to go out for an order.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
And we can hand that out to him and go, this is what we want, you bid on that.
Thank you.
Because I think everybody's got a way they want it to look.
Yeah, yeah.
With the property and stuff, so that's what I'm trying to. put my
Yeah,
head
that'll,
around.
that'll be up to the,
That's why I said, if he can do his work for under 10 grand, I don't wanna.
and I'll find out if he
Yeah,
can.
I'll agree with that.
If not, I'll make the board aware if it's gonna, if this is one cost.
Absolutely.
But please keep in mind, we're not wasting money, because anything he does do, if it's under 10 grand, has to be done by another engineer, and that work will already be done, so it's gonna save us money
On
from
that
the other
side.
guy.
Okay, we're good on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's move along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else that we need to discuss?
Yeah, oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
So you'll have the, next one that Ms. Catherine's going to hand out.
We're moving good, we're getting some of these off the plate.
I'm hoping. Okay, so this is our conceptual drawing and ideas of how it might be laid out, as far as the current payout. So Commissioner Buckingham and I went down there, with both of our heads together and me knowing what we need and him having thoughts on how we could potentially lay it out. We came up with this concept of how the Bay House could work be designed for our folks to be able to live and respond out of that station. So, it's in front of you. I'd like to include something like this, in the RFP. When we go out for a design build for the actual bays, include this remodel as part of that bid process. So that way, that same contractor is doing all that work, the remodel as well as the new build. But, so any questions about what you see in front of you on the drawing? Use some time to digest, but it's got currently has 5 bunk rooms, a locker room. It's got a washer and dryer for just regular laundry, not anything that's contaminated, but regular laundry. It's got refrigerators, it's got a kitchen, it's got a pantry, it's got 3 bathrooms, 2 showers, and a potential workout area, which I didn't identify, but the screened-in porch could be turned into a workout area. I think it could easily be enclosed to be able to accommodate that. And then a area potentially where they could be working on reports and that kind of stuff without actually making it. And this is the only change that I've gotten a little bit of feedback. I took it back and talked to one of the shifts and said, this is a general idea what we're looking at, any additions, subtractions, comments, whatever. And the only thing that was kind of mentioned is that the pantry, where you'll see, I've written that in there, which is where the current hallway is. Our thought was divide it in half and have storage on one side. They came back and said, Chief, there's 9 people. You know, we typically think there's only 3 at a time. Well, I get that, but there's 9 that are housed out of there. And it could be up to 15. So their idea was to take the complete hallway that's right there, turn it into a pantry, and then put 2 additional walls up to extend that hallway down a little bit and make that a storage room, which I told him, I said, yeah, I don't see that to be an issue. But in general, this is the overall concept. I think it encompasses what the requirements are for our folks to be able to live there. Sleeping quarters, place to eat, sleep, all the stuff that's really required, plus a bunk room and wash facilities.
I like the idea you going back to the guys and asking them for their input, Chief.
I did.
So that was good, thank you. Yeah.
It's simple.
I'm good for that.
They seemed to like it when I took it back there. They went, hey, yeah, work looks great, Chief, thanks, appreciate it. And they did ask a question about enclosing the screen porch for a workout area. Can I say whatever y'all want? I mean, you got a breeze and stuff going in the summer, that might be nice, but I think they looked at it and went, when it's chilly, because it's chilly out right now, they went, yeah, that might be tough out there, kind of cold.
Well, the thing is,
But that's easy.
well, my thing is, if we got good equipment out there,
Yeah.
the salt air
Yep,
and the
Yeah.
pollen, it still comes through that
it
screen.
does.
Like,
You're right.
I think we need to bring that back at a later time though, with our parking issues and stuff right now, closing that in, but yes.
I got you.
Your chief and I and one of the
We
guys
talked
who's been out
about
there, we talked about that, so that would be a future thing though.
Okay.
What's the Florida room gonna be used for?
Well, my thought was I could put a couple of desks there for them to be able to do the report writing, and any training that they have that's computer based. So we'll have a couple of desks with computers on it, and those computers are for
For their continued
reports
ed,
and training and all kinds of other stuff that they'll utilize it
training
for.
room. Make it a training room.
Yeah, basically, that's.
Or maybe putting a desk in there later for the chief and have his place. That was my number one.
Yeah, that's my, yeah, R&R spot.
Yeah, I told the chief, I said, man, I'd like to see you have a desk here.
Yeah, it'll be on the boat.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, R&R.
Well, Chief, I personally like the plan. I think it's laid out just what we need.
Well, I appreciate
In the
Mr.
space that we
Buckley's
got.
help on it.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
I see we got 3 refrigerators too.
Yes, sir. Now, there's certain things as a firefighter, and I know, I've been there, okay,
Your own refrigerator.
that you won't forget.
Each just got their own.
And the refrigerator, I can assure you, is one of them.
I would like to make a recommendation, I'm not making a motion yet. I'd like to make a recommendation for, the chief to get with, Mr. Clary, because he had helped us quite a bit in the past too, to at least take this and hand it to him and say, what would it cost for you to design this? And make this currently a separate issue than the main building, than the garage. And kind of get an idea what this is gonna be, because we might end up having to bring in, there will be no civil engineer involved in this, because there's nothing civil on this. This is just a architectural, there's no structure engineer involved in this. Out of 3 engineers, we only need 1. We need an architect to draw this up to get this in permit. So I would like to give the chief the ability, or to allow the chief to go forward to get with Clary and see what it would take to design this, as far as what they would charge to design this.
Jenkins can't do
Because
that?
then again, I believe this is gonna be the way, I'm sorry, Bob?
Jenkins can't do that?
No, this is architectural. Like I said, there's no structural needed in here, structural engineer, and there's no, civil engineer needed in here. All this is just as architectural. The building's there, it's inside material. So, and to get this process moving, at least get an idea from Senator Clary what it would cost to get this done.
at least get a cost, because I think we overpaid for the last design conceptual he did for us, $10,000. I went out looking for stuff,
Right.
and I went to other places, it was only $3,000 to $4,000. So I thought he'd be way overpaid for what it cost.
Right.
So I really don't want to go to him.
Okay, well, please keep in mind, Bob, and anybody's gonna tell you what you wanna hear in the beginning until they get you in there. Once they get you in there, it's like a car salesman, you said a little while ago. You know, oh yeah, I can get you in this car for this, but then when he tells you he's upgrading this and upgrading that, next thing you know, you're paying this much money. I'm gonna use Cox Cable, for example. They advertise they can get you in for $19.95. Next thing you know, you got a $69 a month payment. So, you know, as long as we meet with, in our limits of what we're allowed to do, all I'm trying to do, guys, is just get the ball rolling. It's gonna be months before we get this thing done. And I understand your main concern of, we've been going for 3 years. I get all that. But in order to get something rolling, we gotta roll. So I would like to make a motion to at least allow the chief to get with him and ask what it's gonna take to do that, so the chief can bring it back to this board.
Why
Just need a
Well,
consensus. We don't need a motion.
Okay, good question. Here's a good
But I
question.
think I think we overpaid, that's why not.
Okay, but I'm gonna make a motion to ask the chief to go to Clary, Senator Clary, to get a cost of what it's gonna take to do this, to bring it back to the board. That's my motion. It's a cost. We're not asking him to do it, Brad, it's just a cost. Get us a cost what it's gonna do. Okay, so if it's,
I'll go along with that.
oh, okay, so you got a
I'll
second.
second.
Yeah, motion and a second.
I mean, we can always go to somebody else.
Exactly, exactly. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling.
Why don't we just go to two different places then, get two estimates in? and bring
Well, if
it
we're gonna
back?
do that, we might as well go out for an RFP, but we can't go out for an RFP, Bob, because we don't know we don't know everything about it yet. So let him come back with what it's gonna cost us to do it. That's all I'm asking
Just an
for.
estimate.
And I'm gonna go get an estimate too from somebody else for the cost. That's why I'll have it for next week too.
But,
Well, that's fine.
buddy, I love you to death, but what you're doing is you're gonna go ask somebody else to get a price, and they're gonna say, well, I'm gonna use, code will allow me to put a 2x3 stud in instead of a 2x4.
You don't know that.
I do know that, Bob. That's what I do for a living. Okay, anyway,
All right, so I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. All in favor, move forward with that. 3 to 1. 3 in favor, 1 no. All right,
So the next item that I have are two, stapled together, which is great, and Ms. Catherine's going to hand it out to you now. I didn't want to put too much in front of you,
thank you.
because it could have been such a overload with all the drawings that I would have been handing out today, so I didn't want to hand them all out at the same time. So
Chief, were you
I
able to get in,
apologize.
were you able to get into the owner's closet? Did he let you in there yet? See
No,
what's in there?
no, sir, I have not.
It'd be nice to know what's in there.
Based upon the drawing, I figured it's the hot water heater, but
Right.
and storage. But because it's just kind of a square box. But it'd be
Sure.
nice to know what's in there,
Yeah,
for sure, because it's a pretty good sized storage area.
it appears to be.
9 by, whatever we measured the other
Yeah,
day,
9 by 10
right?
or something.
So what you have in front of you is the current cottage outbuilding on our property. So the concept, the idea is that while we're doing the remodel of the bay house and building the bay, that we operate out of this building. This building is, I think, around 900, 700. It's not very much as far as square footage is concerned, but it's got all the essentials for us to be able to live out of for a short period of time. It's not something that I would want to put them in there for a couple of years,
No.
but I think for 6, 9 months, whatever is required, that we can operate out of this for a short period. So it's got a kitchen, it's got a bathroom with a shower, and it's got enough space where we could put 3 bunks. I don't know that we're gonna be able to separate them so they have their own sleeping quarters. It might be a little bit more of an open bay concept of sleeping for that period of time, but I believe it will work for a short period of time. I just want to kind of give y'all, this is, so you know, kind of going in, this is where we're going to be living in this building for the period of time that it takes to get the other stuff built until we get moved into the other stuff, however long that takes. 6, 9, 12 months, whatever it is, we'll live down here until that's done. And there might be a little bit, Commissioner Buckingham walked through this, we could put in a pony wall or something like that to separate beds. But if you're a snorer, the pony wall is not going to solve a snoring problem.
He goes in the
So-
closet.
Right, so unless you build,
Corner closet?
Yeah.
unless you build, unless
I
you
can
build
snore out of the
walls
back.
and a door, you're not cutting out the snoring issue. So I don't know how much a pony wall would address anything, as far as those issues. As far as what you sleep in and how you dress, well, we just have to adjust that if that's an issue. We just have to address that for the period of time that we're sleeping here, or while we're staying here. It's just something I have to adjust to. So this is the building we're looking to stay in, so that way you kind of got an idea of its layout. Then the next building, or the next drawing, I highlighted for everyone to see where we're looking when we asked Sprung to provide us with a estimate. This is where we're looking to put that building in order to be able to house the truck. It would be back a little bit from the current house, or maybe it might be up, depending on where the doorway goes into there, whatever structure we put there. But once we put this there, in general, other cars won't be able to drive through, just our vehicle. Because our vehicle will drive in, when it parks, it's there, anybody else that comes in to see.
Are we gonna back in here on this for time? Or are we gonna, if they're doing construction down there, we're not gonna be able to drive
That's
around.
correct. Now,
We're gonna have to
could we short circuit that? Backing in is the simple answer, yes, sir, they backing off the road. That's the simple answer. I think I could come up with some other things, but simple answer is yes, we'll be backing in.
Just temporarily.
And have any of y'all been inside that house, that little cottage? It's as nice and as clean as any one of our homes. It's older.
Oh, yeah.
When I say nice,
It's for the bride.
don't you agree,
Oh,
Keith?
yeah, oh, no
It's a
doubt.
nice-
It's the bridal room.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. it's got a-
Chief, question for you, for that college, do we need to put sprinklers in that thing, what, for guys who live in there? You know that answer, or I don't even know if you know that answer?
No, I'll ask my fire marshal.
Do we need a second exit? I see one entrance, is there?
Yeah, as a temporary, yeah, there's only one entrance in that.
So I don't know what the code is, so.
I will find out because we are gonna have to stay there and sleep and
You got
I will have
egress
that
through the
answer.
windows.
Right, yeah, no, right. But I'll make sure, and it's not like on second floor, so we don't, it's not like they can't be used as a egress.
Yeah.
So, windows could be used for egress, but I will ensure that, I'll get you an answer on that from my fire marshal to tell me whether or not I gotta be able to sprinkle that building for a very short period of time. We'll find out.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Are we in our plans to get a light out there, flashing caution light or anything like that?
Do we need one?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
I'm just, I don't know if that's a
I- I-
Quit
requirement.
trying to stir
And-
the pot.
Huh?
Quit trying to stir the
No,
pot.
I don't know if that's
We
a
don't need
requirement.
anything to create more negativity from the locals and the surrounding people there.
Guy lives across the street,
They
they might bother
start
him.
complaining
Only
about
question I'm
that.
asking is if it's a requirement, do we have to have it? I don't want it unless it's required.
Okay, so if anything, we might have to put a signage up, you've seen that before. We've got down here on Airport Road, that says fire station entrance and exit.
10 doesn't have one, does it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's there, I just don't think you pay attention to it.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, I think it's there, I just don't think you don't see it because you're not looking for it.
I'm not.
And the general public don't look for it, but I think it might be
But
something.
you gotta identify.
I think we gotta put a
one
sign
now.
up there, I think we gotta put a sign.
If it becomes to be a nuisance and it's something that we have to have, the bees would definitely support it, I mean, but I like Tommy's.
I mean, I wanna be,
We don't need
I wanna
one.
blend in as much as possible. I didn't know if there was a requirement, so that's the question I was
Good
asking.
question.
Okay, so what do you need from us
I think
here?
a sign, I think, and I'm gonna verify this, I think a sign's required, but I don't think any caution lights or any of that stuff's required. I think a sign might be just identifying that there's fire trucks are full out. But then again, maybe not on a residential road. But I'll find out. I know when you look here on Airport for sure, if you go over to Fort Walton on Hollywood, those are major, I mean, it's not a residential, so,
Yeah.
but I'll absolutely have an answer for you Tuesday.
I would prefer to stay quiet.
I agree.
Me too. I want to be like,
Don't do
blend
nothing,
in.
you don't have to.
I want the station to blend in.
Me too. I don't even want them to know we're there.
We got to, 'cause it's a
Chief, you need anything from us on this, or do you want us just to agree?
No,
to
sir,
it?
this was just more informational. I wanted you to be able to get like a conceptual drawing. I just want you to get an idea. This is where they're gonna be living for a short period of time, and this is where we're looking to put a temporary bay. Whatever we buy, whether it's a strong building, whether it's a steel built, Butler style building, whatever it is, we need to do something to be able to kind of house the truck, secure the truck for those couple of months. And then the general idea, again, as we said, is move that building back up here and store the truck.
or like an RV.
Yeah, could be.
Shit.
Right,
Maybe I'm not-
that's what Chief and I talked
Right,
about.
but I'm not sure how secure it'll be and all that.
We want to secure it though. We
Yeah,
prefer it to be secure.
You
Yeah, we have a
can
door.
concrete it in the ground.
Yeah, well, a door front and back and that kind of thing, so that way it kind of secures the truck.
Right.
The secure wasn't for the building, the
Oh,
secure
yeah.
was for the apparatus,
Okay, that's right,
Yeah.
that's right.
because I don't want to see stuff disappear off our truck.
Exactly.
Because, we want to go to the park to provide, not really security, because we can't arrest people, as one former council member said. We don't have the ability to arrest people, by God,
Right.
but the fact that we're there does provide some sense of security for the general public. Now we gotta be worried about those that are residentially challenged working onto our property, or maybe something disappearing off the truck. So,
Yeah, I'm-
especially when it sits out overnight, when we're sleeping, that kind of thing. So,
Just to ease the board a little bit, when the chief and I went out and measured this day cottage also, we weren't able to get in that owner's closet, but we thought, wow, that would be nice to put one bay in. And if you're looking at the saloon room, or the salon room, where it's 14 by 10, we came up with an option. You see how many windows are in there. So there's your legal exit, because we only have one door. But the chief and I talked about, that if we had to make 3 stalls, we'd put a wooden wall up there, sheet rock it for under $500 and make 2 little bunk rooms out of that. So that's just doable. Very, very, and then at that time, once we moved to the new house, it's temporary, so you just unbolt it, take it out. And if this goes to the sheriff's department, whatever it does, it's not permanent. So it's very doable for $500. And the emergency accesses are there because there's lots of windows. The only thing we might have to do, chief, if we turn in the owner closet to a bunk room, which would be, then again, easy to do, put one window in for an.
right, it doesn't have anything.
Yeah, we just put one window in there, which is pretty simple.
Yeah.
This is, I took, I didn't take him, Battalion Chief Anderson came out when we had the truck out there, and I took him in to show it to him, and he goes, wow, he says, I became a Battalion Chief too quick. He said, if I wasn't a Battalion Chief, he said, I want to stay over here at the Bay House. Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
All right, is there anything else you want to bring?
Yes, sir, just a couple more. Yeah. No, I'd rather pull the full heart. Now for the rest of the.
No, for the rest of the-
I much prefer that than one more thing. So, Dennis, just FYI, I just didn't, because I haven't been able to tell all board members once I was notified of it. I don't think it's gonna be an issue, and it's gonna be a concern. But I wanna make sure that the board's aware of it, so it's not something that's brought up to you and I didn't tell you. So, we were, as I explained to the board, we had asked the question about, what are the requirements for parking for a fire station in Destin? Okay, and the answer came back 300 square foot, one parking spot per 300 square foot. Well, we're probably going to end up having some discussions about that requirement.
Correct.
And we will. Okay, at the same time, where they were doing the research to find out what the requirement was for a fire station for parking, they found out that dang, that piece of property is not zoned for a fire department.
For what?
So it's not zoned for a fire station.
Okay, and guys, I'm gonna get in the middle of this. I was hoping this wouldn't come up in the public meeting, but it has.
I'm not gonna, I'll put it this way, I
No.
brought it up in the public meeting because I didn't want y'all to be blindsided, if
Right.
something brought to you outside this meeting, and you asked me why I did not bring it up.
Right, no, and I get that, I'm not upset about it, I'm just
Okay.
saying that the Tabis at the city, when they found that out, they said, we're building language as we speak. They're not in no way, shape, or form gonna even begin to let this be a stop or an issue in they are adding to the ordinance for that location. It's going to the LPA this month. It has to go in front of the OPA. They'll get the approval. It's gonna go to council. It's gonna be in 2 readings, and they have already done their homework. It'll be done. They said, don't even worry about it. It's not an issue, y'all. It's something that we overlooked. Yeah, they overlooked, Bob, so they're gonna get it taken care of immediately. So because of us being a public entity, I mean, our emergency service entity, they felt very comfortable. They have this done before we even blink an eye.
So we couldn't
They,
even,
they apologized.
so we couldn't even gone on the park either?
Yes, well,
Yeah, it doesn't,
that's why it got to where it's at. They said, don't worry about it. To assure you guys not to worry about it. They got this under control.
So it's done. I'm worried about it.
I was assured by the city manager it's going to be taken care of.
yeah,
So, I mean,
and being as it was commercial property before
Yeah.
that,
Right,
they
thank
can't,
you.
nobody can argue about it being residential
Here you go.
because it's
Right.
that designated.
And that was their, without bringing more and more out, that was their concern. They said, no problem.
I think my heart just skipped.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I didn't want it to skip me outside the meeting. So I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that that's the case, but we're being reassured it's going to be taken care of, not a problem.
And you did, right, chief? You
What's
did right for bringing it.
Yes.
I just said, because they're gonna take care of this thing immediately. They know that they got an issue.
Wow.
So
But
they
that's
said,
it.
they said that this commission, please don't worry about it. They got it under control.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I'm done, for sure.
All right.
That's the rest of it.
Well,
Yes, sir.
then I'll close our discussion down and go into public comments. Any public comments? Seeing none before us, close public comments. The next regular meeting is March 9th, which is next Tuesday at 5:30 PM. So if there's nothing else that comes in front of the board,